What is going on, guys? My name is Brady Clockengay, your host, and welcome back to another episode of The Peace Talk, a podcast about the people. What we aim to create here is a healing process for those involved in a safe, comfortable environment. I, Brady Clockengay, will ask our guests a few questions centered around something they went through in life that perhaps they struggled with. Maybe they came to a solution, or maybe they haven't yet. But through these series of questions and open, free-flowing conversation, we come to a solution together. So either way, whether they've come to a solution on their own or on the show, it's a learning and healing process for us all. This is special because, as you know, we all have our own unique situations, but more than likely, the emotions we experience through those situations are the same or similar to someone else's experiences. Our lives are obviously unique to ourselves, but similar in many fashions too, which is where the magic and healing happens. We can learn best from each other, which brings us closer as a collective, knowing we go through the same emotions and circumstances, and we can all become the best versions of ourselves. It is my honor and pleasure to be speaking in front of you all today, and without further ado, let's get into it. What is going on, guys? My name is Brady Clockengay, and it is my honor and blessing to welcome you to another episode of The Peace Talk, a podcast about the people. Today, I'm excited to bring on Brandon Ricks. He has great energy, and he's a new member of our awesome community, so give him a warm welcome. He's available on Instagram at Third Eye Oregon. That's 3RD_I_Oregon, ORGONE. He's been a part of the conscious community since 2011, and we're happy to have you on the show, Brandon.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you for having me. Our fellow brother Ezekiel reached out to me and told me, and I really think that's wonderful. I think that's great that more like minds are coming together with these types of opportunities for the conscious community and for those that are questioning things and just want to be more in the loop and want to be involved. So
exactly, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And yeah, shout out to Ezekiel. He's Ancient Soul Collective. He's who we had on last time. He's a great guy as well. All right, so here on the Peace Talk, it's the idea is pretty free flowing. We'll just have casual, organic conversation. I'll ask a few questions, and wherever the conversation takes us, that's where we'll go. So the first few are usually pretty easy. So for our first question, tell us a couple things about yourself and why you were interested in getting on to the Peace Talk.
Sure. Well, goodness, as many, I feel like light workers and just people in the conscious community, the lives that we've lived that led to what we're doing now. Usually have some interesting backgrounds. I grew up in an LDS Mormon family. I grew up in around religion. It was always something that was taught to me and pushed onto me from a young age. Mm-hmm. Didn't really resonate with me on a soul level. There was something missing. I felt truth in all of them. I didn't see full truth in any of them, right, in a sense. And I kind of, it made me rebel a lot in my youth. And when I was a teenager, I made up my own decision to leave the church, to go my own way, find my own path, and make my own truth, find my own truth. And in that journey, it sent me a lot of paths, in a sense. Some not the best, some I wouldn't be who I am today without that,
right.
So I have no regrets in the paths that I've chosen, but it's led me to come to find certain truths that brought me into the work that I do now, which is creating subtle energy technology devices, also known as orgone technology, or orgonite is a name that has been trademarked by a few people out there. And now I specialize in subtle energy technology and what that can do for mankind. And it's been an interesting road, man, because not everybody obviously knows about these technologies or is aware that there's even a threat out there.
Right.
But that's kind of like how I got into it. I had an awakening that happened over, like, I would say a 5 to 10 year span. And yeah, definitely grateful for where I'm at now, for sure.
Absolutely. And yeah, I have a few things to comment on that. First off, you said so you make the orgonite settle technology. What exactly does that do?
Sure, it just depends on how you want to implement it. So
Right.
like Ezekiel makes orgone. I actually got into making orgone from seeing his work years
Right.
and years. And so basically, I'm just expanding on that technology, experimenting more with it, making more complex devices, and combining multiple technologies into with orgone technology to try to see what can be done. I think it's something that those of us that are dabbling with this technology in this life, that have like chose, I feel, to like reincarnated to come back during this time and chose these soul contracts and missions to carry out this work. I
Right.
think we've done it before, maybe, and that's
Mm-hmm.
if you're a believer in past lives. Everyone has their own beliefs on the afterlife and what have you. But
Right.
I feel a strong connection with these brothers. Like it was like a feeling of remembrance in a sense. And so the technology, I don't think I've even answered the question, is just alchemy, man. It's and alchemy can be done with food, it can be done with water, it can be done with anything in life. I'm
Okay.
just using alchemy with rare earth minerals, in combination with frequencies to allow for healing potential and protection from potential hazards and dangers.
Oh, okay. I like that. So it kind of creates like a safe space in whatever environment you're implementing it in.
Sure. Like if you want to, like, the easy way to explain how an orgone generator works is it's a vortex. Pressurized quartz creates a vortex field that
Okay.
sucks in radiation, and like a filter, all the metals inside cleanse that positive ion, stagnant, dead energy, and convert it back into a life-giving negative ion again.
Oh,
And so that's just how an orgone generator functions at the most basic form.
okay.
Um, Granted, how it's constructed does make a difference, though, in its potency and capability.
Nice. Okay. I like that. And then another thing I wanted to touch on was I know you mentioned that you kind of decided to go on your own spiritual path as far as being raised in, you said, was it a Catholic upbringing, you said? Or just religion?
LDS Mormons.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Mormon. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah. Oh, you're
Uh,
fine.
but yeah, I kind of resonate with you there as far as growing up. I was introduced to Catholic. I went to a Catholic school all the way up until eighth grade, and eventually left. But then, early into my adult life, you know, uh, you're kind of told all these, kind of ways that things work and like what to believe in, and that like certain things are inappropriate, and that kind of resonated with me as well too, as far as um, there's
Kid, and
right.
I see them more so as tools, references to go back and cross-reference and check things if something comes into mind.
I
Because
agree.
it's like I don't I don't believe in confiding in that we in the idea that we don't have free will.
Right.
We do have free will as human beings and whatnot. But
I agree.
yeah, man, it's been an interesting journey with my family. A lot of them are still very devout in practicing that religion. I'm more spiritual than I've ever been in my life, more so than I was ever when I was going to church.
Same.
And that's because I found my own truth in my own belief in what God technically would be, in my idea of what God is, which is in all of us. And that's just my own personal belief in that. So I meditate and I pray and I do all the things that I did in the past, just in a different way. And I still have reverence and respect, and I still talk to my ancestors and my guides. And, I feel like I have a strong connection to that other side, and I'm not, and I feel confident and strong in that. And that's my faith.
Yeah.
And I feel that, everybody will find their own journey with that, like you said. And it's also ever evolving.
Exactly. Exactly. And that, yeah, that's the thing, guys. If we could sum that little thing up, find what makes sense to you, go down your own spiritual path, whatever works best for you. That's what it's all about. That's how you'll become greatest version of yourself. So for our next question, um, so I'm kind of going through an inner work process right now, and one of the sections that we're focusing on is communicating with your inner child, and checking in with them, and making sure everything good is there. Everything is going on well there, and I didn't really ever think about that practice before, but upon doing it, I feel like there's a lot of um, just in general, I just feel like I'm more, apt to take on a lot of challenges. Whereas before, I always found myself playing, kind of the victim card. So, that being said, what are some activities that you enjoyed in your youth that kind of made you feel alive or at peace?
Man, I was like the adventurous kid that my mom always had to be watching me, or I was getting into trouble doing something. Man. Climbing on things. I thought I was Indiana Jones at a young age. He was like my idol, and like so. Building things, taking things apart. Like I really have an engineering type mind, and so I was always getting into trouble doing things like that. Pranking. I pranked my siblings a lot. Like that was just the most fun I got out of life was pranking them. So I mean, I definitely had my share of mischief, but it was fun. I loved to draw, and it turned into art. I really was able to channel my creative energies into art, and at a young age, and found a love for drawing and drawing portraits and sketching, and
Nice.
did that for years up into high school, and then I stopped creating for many years after.
Gotcha. That's awesome. How many siblings do you have?
Well, I have 6 siblings.
Okay. Nice.
LDS family. That's usually a lot, yeah. And I'm the middle age child out of all.
Gotcha. That's cool. Nice. So this next question, it's not so much to like make you look bad or anything like that, but it's more so just to show that we're all humans, and we all have areas where we either want to work on or maybe we're not as good at, and that's okay. So to show that, what are some good things, or what are some things that you're not very good at?
Consistency on self-love.
Yeah.
And that's hard for many of us.
Yeah.
And
Me myself.
yeah, man. And that's just, there's so many distractions, and that's the game that we're playing right now with like the spiritual attack on consciousness and vibration and frequency. And so it's a multifaceted game. You have to really be concentrating on all of it in a well-rounded way, or else it's easy to slip, and it's
Right.
easy to kind of fall down into the lower vibrational state. So yeah, consistency, man, that's probably one of the biggest things. Overall, I'm a healthy human being right now, and I'm getting healthier with age as I continue and with my growth. But till this day, man, I'm not perfect. I'd be
Right.
hypocrite if I said I was with my consistency,
Mhm.
and that's what I got to work on for sure.
Yeah, I agree. That's something. Yeah, you mentioned that a lot of us struggle with that, and yeah, I definitely feel you there. Just like consistency in general, I feel like is something that we could all work on. But just implementing those daily practices, kind of reminding yourself, the things that you do need to work on. That's definitely like one thing that you could do to help yourself get down that where you want to be in life. So I like that. um so for this next one, if there was one helpful thing that you could tell your past self, what would that be?
If I could tell my past self to do anything, I would say to breathe,
Breathe. Yeah.
to find yourself in your breath, and to care about that. People underestimate the power of their breath and its capability and aid in your life. So that's definitely one of the biggest tools and useful bits of info I'd give myself.
Yeah, I like that one too, because yeah, it wasn't until like about 3 weeks ago now that I started practicing breath work myself. And you hear about it and you don't really think about it too much. Like you kind of take it for granted, kind of like what you were saying. People underestimate the power of it, but then once you really start implementing it to, your daily life, or just when you feel stressed or you feel like that anxiety or pressure coming on your shoulders, it really does do wonders. Like it's hard to put it into words, but once you actually practice breath work, it really can like change how you look about things. You know,
Oh.
yeah.
What, if you don't mind me asking you, what have you experienced so far with breath work? Have you had any insights, any particular styles that have helped you?
So there's this group that I'm a part of with my partner. We do breath work together, but we usually do like a couple inhales in and then out, and it's just to music because we're all like beginners as far as breath work goes. So we just go as long as the song is, and then we'll take breaks. Um, for me personally, I haven't had like any like epiphanies or anything like that, but just like the feeling of uh for me, I always like I was always have like especially growing up, I would always have a lot of tension in my shoulders. I was always just like kind of had like a shield or a barrier up. So whenever I do breath work, it kind of just makes me feel like relaxed and zen again, and like I can finally like release all that tension in my shoulders or wherever it is in my body. Like I just feel um, at one with myself. And for me, like someone that does have, is always tense, or at least, I've gotten a lot better with it in my adult life. Um, that's it does me wonders.
Yeah, yeah, breathing, man. We're not taught how to properly breathe in school. We
No,
go to school and they don't teach us these things, and it's like it's changing my life. I take cold showers unless I have to take one that's not cold.
right,
Typically, sometimes hot showers are like therapeutic, mostly for me,
yeah,
therapeutic use. But breath is what allowed me to get into that, and cold water therapy's benefits to my life. So, I definitely didn't realize how much of an impact it has, and how it really is. Breath is life. Water is life, and
absolutely,
the techniques of breath out there, and there's so many. There's thousands.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
to be a master is, I don't know if that would be possible, but I've met many people that have really dedicated their lives to the learning and understanding of these different techniques, and offering them to the world, and have offered some of that training to me. I'm blessed to say, and man, every time I share this stuff with anybody, the Wim Hof styles, particularly,
yeah.
which are derived from Tumo breathing. I've done a post on my feed about Tumo breathing. It's just life changing, man. And if you get a chance, try the Wim Hof breathing. Anybody on this that watches this, please try it.
Yeah, the Wim Hof. I've actually, I think I follow him on Instagram as well. He's an amazing human being. Um, yeah, I'm only just cracking the surface of it myself. But if there was, I know you said what you like the Wim Hof. Is there any like particular technique in of that you enjoy the most?
Well, I mean, you can play around with it because everyone's a little different on how the technique's going to work for you. You can try, like, two people can be side by side, do the exact same thing, and it might not be the same effect.
True.
So I say play around with it. And it's a simple breathwork technique, and I can show you just right now.
Yeah.
It's in through the mouth, out through the mouth. So a full diaphragm breath. That's, stomach first, will obviously expand, and then your chest will expand after. So simple as that. Just in through the mouth, out through the mouth. You can go at that pace. Try to keep your breaths under 2 seconds. Goodness, I got a little lightheaded just from doing that. It's that powerful. And you
Yeah.
go, I mean, I would say go anywhere. If you're going to do this technique, either be sitting down or laying down. You don't want to be like around dangerous things, or you could potentially pass out, fall, and hurt yourself. I've
Right.
seen it happen, and I've been around people that have done that. So
Mhm.
just be comfortable. I recommend just laying down your first time. Breathe like I just was showing you for between, I would go 20 to 30 breaths. Your body's going to start to vibrate and tingle in your hands, your face, your stomach, kind of all over the place if you're doing it correctly.
Right.
And then when you're ready to stop, hold your breath. Well, when you hold your breath on that last inhale, you swallow your saliva, which activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's going to allow the chi that you just brought into your body with all that breath, all that life you just sucked into your life, into your body and your life force.
Yeah.
You can push it down to your stomach, and you'll be amazed how long you can hold your breath. Even novices just starting out you'll hold your breath between a minute to 3 minutes your first time, probably most likely if you do it properly.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a 5.5 minute breath hold.
Oh, wow.
So you can work your way up. It's amazing. And I didn't even realize I went that long. I was in just this other dimension, the way it makes you feel, and you just ride that wave until you can't hold your breath anymore, and then you exhale. So that's just an easy way. If anyone wants to try that out, it's safe to do. Just make sure you're in a safe spot, that you're not standing up or in your car. Never operate a car doing this. And you'll be amazed at what benefits it can bring you.
Yeah. I think I actually might have to try that after the show. That sounded pretty awesome. Yeah, I know for the couple times that I've done it, I've always been laying down. So yeah, if you guys have never done it before, definitely like sit down or lay down. And like you said, don't be around anything dangerous or operating any sort of motor vehicles. But yes, breath work, guys, it can change your life. Even just taking a couple deep breaths, like when you're pissed off, like, that'll do something for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Bro, one second. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. That's a simple. Nice and slow. Do that 3 or 4 times. If you're in public, you're in a public place, it's as simple as that. Even you don't even have to do what we just, the extended version of it. But you're on the road, public place, in line, you can do that and it'll work.
Absolutely, 100%. I know this was a little bit off topic, but you mentioned earlier that you take cold showers every day. I've kind of read a little bit about that. What are some of the positive benefits that you've experienced since doing that, and how long have you been doing it? Because I've kind of wanted to try it myself.
I've been experimenting with cold water therapy for almost 3 years now, about 3 years.
Okay.
And it's been in forms of cold showers to ice baths to getting in ice rivers. It just depends on how I'm feeling and what I have available at the time in the moment. But so many benefits, man. I mean, not only will it reduce your stress levels drastically, because you got to think about it. You're getting up in the morning. If you're not immediately doing breath work, chances are there might be some stress. There might be some angst or tightening in the chest. Not everybody's feeling their best the second they wake up. Sometimes it takes a minute, right? And so by getting into a cold shower, and if you do it, just, you do your extremities first, legs, arms, slowly get used to it, then get in fully. You're shocking your system into like, I need to wake up, and I need to wake up fast.
All right.
And so the release that happens, it's like it basically wakes up dormant genes, and that's because we've become soft as a human species. We've been accustomed to showers every single day at the same time.
Right.
Let's face it, when back in the olden days, we didn't have it so nice, and we weren't so spoiled. Yeah. So you by doing cold showers, you're triggering dormant genes, you're reducing stress levels, you're regulating your blood pressure if it was out of whack from your night's rest, if it wasn't very good.
Right. Okay.
You're really you're making yourself more rigid to handle extreme change happening fast. So you're not one of those people that panics or freezes. You can kind of handle the situation and be controlled. So,
cool.
Yeah. And who's the actor that did this? Big actor took an ice bath every single morning before starting his day.
I think I know who you're talking about. Is he? I don't know if this is the right one, but is it the guy that does like Transporter and stuff like that? I think he's
Jason Statham.
Yeah.
I know he does stuff like that too. That's not exactly who I'm referring to, but people get the point.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it's less. Anytime I do a cold shower, I'm excited for the winter because finally my cold water's coming back. I can't tell you how good I feel after doing that. You feel alive, man, after you get out of really cold water. And it tightens the skin, so you really get an epidermis upgrade. and just the benefits that come with all of that. When you're triggering those dormant genes, your immune system gets boosted drastically. I would say by 300 to 400%, it's boosting your immune system.
Wow.
So if you think you're gonna get sick, you're not gonna get sick, dude. I don't get sick. I rarely get sick.
I
And
tell myself that all the time too. It actually works.
Yeah, you got to positive affirmation, because people obviously too underestimate the power of their thought and self-talk.
100%. I couldn't agree more on that one.
Yeah.
So do you take a cold shower every day then?
When I can, yeah. Like right now, it's not like freezing. It's like cool,
Right.
which is what I have. I don't have a river close enough that's cold water at the moment. But winter times on this ranch property, I'm on well water, and it's cold, like bone-chilling 40s.
Really?
So
wow.
That's when it's like it's hard to take the shower sometimes, because it's makes your bones ache. It's that cold. So like I have to it's a challenge. I challenge myself. My morning routine is like brutal and rigid, but after some situation can happen and I'm less reactive, I'm more reflective and responsive. I can take a step back and just observe, more of an observer mindset. That is one of the benefits. It really is like you're way less reactive to things in life when you're doing cold water therapy.
I love that. Well, guys, I think that's something that we could all benefit for, is being more reactive and reflective on the given situation. So if you guys are wanting to check out cold showers, cold water therapy, go for it. I think I'm going to try it myself personally. Because, especially in the morning, man, it's like you take those warm showers and then it's like, I don't know, you just kind of want to chill. You're just like, oh, yeah, I just feel good now. But I like how you talked about the cold showers. Like now you're like ready to go and take on the day, So that alone sounds like it's worth it.
No, try it out. Yeah.
Let's go. All right. So for this next question, what are some obstacles that you've encountered lately or in the past that you would be comfortable talking about today on the Peace Talk?
Sure. I mean, so many of us encounter a wide variety of obstacles. If we're trying to maintain a high vibration these days, we've got a lot, and I myself have encountered many. It's been drugs in the past. It's been, depending on the person, male or female. Sometimes men use other forms of distraction, whether it's pornography or other, I'm not being judgmental in saying this, but other unhealthy forms of dealing with stress and situations in life. And we as men aren't taught to be open and comfortable with being vulnerable.
Yes.
And being concerned about vulnerability. And
100%.
I even was fearful for most of my life from expressing myself fully and authentically because of that, up until recently with the men's work now that I've been involved in for the last few years. And it's really opening me up to things. I'm not perfect. I still have a lot of work to do, but I know that it works and I know that it's there for me. But yeah, man. So, I mean, I like any kind of like medicine too out there. Mine has been finding a balance in respect with medicine and not abusing medicines. Right. And it's so easy to do that, especially if you're in pain and I'd rather just take a hit of this and make it go away or drown it out rather than confronting it head on.
Right.
Sitting and going through it and working through it and then letting it go. And so using substances for years was my go-to. And I didn't do anything like hard, but personally, but using cannabis throughout the years for the last decade on and off, and being involved in the industry, being licensed, getting involved, not necessarily like for the right intentions, but not with the right people, led to my better understanding of how to better respect the medicine and how to treat it, and what I will tolerate, what I won't tolerate with the medicine, and how I use it in my personal daily life. So, or don't use it. It's really been an interesting journey with me and finding the balance with that. But that being said, we all have our vices, right, for dealing with things. And recently, it's been breath has been I've been trying to turn to the more positive choices that we can use to deal and cope.
Absolutely.
And breathing is one of the many things. The cold water therapy is a huge thing, and food and
Yes.
diet. That stuff is also very important, of course.
Yes. Diet and exercises. And there's a few things in there that I loved that you talked about that I want to touch on. The first one being as far as balance goes. Balance is something that I feel like we could all work on and have a better understanding of. There's really nothing in life that does that. Is the exception of balance. Like everything needs balance. Too much of something of anything has the potential to cause harm to yourself. So, whether that's work or whether that's play or pleasure or, whatever it is that you do in life, balance is very important, guys. So, know when there's too much, know when there's too little, and try and find that equilibrium, that happy place. Um, and then as far as, substances and stuff goes, uh, I kind of feel you with that. Growing up, we mentioned before we got on here that I went through some things in my childhood. So uh, I also, I didn't do anything hard, but like marijuana was always there, was readily available, and it was easy to take that and kind of like just say things are okay instead of like dealing with the problem head on. But it wasn't until like I started to do this inner work and self-healing work that I was able to realize that you do have to face the hard things, but it's only going to be for the betterment of yourself, and to not use other things like marijuana, for example, or video games or pornography, whatever it is for the individual, to kind of distract yourself from that. And it's actually brought me to a better place with marijuana too, because now living in Washington, it's legal here, and I still consume it now, but I use it as like a healing medicine, like how you say, I have a balance there. I don't use nearly as much as I used to in my adolescent years, but now it's like in this place where it gives me like a sense of creativity and zen if you use it in the right way. And that goes for a lot of things. Uh, and then last one I want to touch on is you talked about as men, we're not taught to like open up and kind of feel like it's okay to talk about our feelings. And there was a book that I read a couple years ago. It's called The Mask of Masculinity. And I can't remember all the different sort of masks that he talks about in the book, but to name a few, like he talks about like the material mask and the ego mask and like the sexuality mask. And, you know, basically the gist of it is that it's okay to, feel, you're a human being at the end of the day, like to bottle up all this stuff inside just because you're a man and you have to be tough and strong and take on the world. Uh, it's just silly, like we're no different than anybody else. And it's good to talk about those things. It's good to get stuff off your chest, because when you bottle up inside and keep it in, a lot of times it just makes the situation, a lot more hard to overcome than what it originally would have been if you'd have just, opened up and talked about it with somebody, And if you don't have like that support group or family member that you feel like you can reach out to, you can always reach out to me, or, I can't speak on Brandon's behalf, but like
Sure.
you can reach out to Brandon. But like we have these communities here for you guys, and just whoever you are, get that stuff off your chest. And if you're a male, like don't be afraid to talk about your feelings, man. Like it's a good thing. It's a powerful thing. Like you'll feel so much more powerful as a man in your own skin if you can talk about your feelings than just keeping it bottled up. I promise you that. So
Yeah.
I love that you touched on that.
Thank you, brother. Yeah. Thank you also for sharing. Yeah, I would be the one that would bottle things up and to the point where I would explode.
Exactly.
We aren't that version of ourselves, and we don't want to be. And we weren't when we are utilizing the tools that we have to keep ourselves centered and keep our energies, in balance and in check. Then we're much happier people and manifestors of our realities.
Yes. Yeah, that was another thing that you touched on that is so important, guys. Like, it really doesn't matter what walk of life that you're in right now. Like, practice the art of positive affirmations and manifesting things into your life because it's so real. Like, I just started doing this a few months ago, and I've already just seen so much change go on, man. And I was just like a lot of other people, like saying like, "Oh, that stuff's not real. It's all made up. Like it's all fairy tales. Like you can't just have positive thoughts in your head and then have it expect it to come into your life." But like, man, again, there's a lot of these things where you can't really put it into words until you start practicing it yourself. But like once you start doing it, like, I mean, life is just magical, you know? Like there's so many things that we're not taught growing up that are arguably way more important than the things that we are taught growing up that will change your life for the better. So like guys, look into positive affirmations and manifesting. Like it'll do you good, I promise.
Oh yeah, man. Mantras. Like, yeah, find yourself a mantra, whether it's like positive self-talk. Like
Yes.
like today I'm walking the dogs and I'm like smiling, thinking to myself like, I love my life. I love me. I'm thinking positive things to uplift my vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Also, affirmations like I am responsible, I am grateful. You want to attract, um, the things in your life that you want to be grateful for. And so just many ways to do that, people. But, it's ultimately just retraining that subconscious mind, that 60,000 thoughts on the back burner to be working more in your favor than against you.
Exactly.
It takes work, but you can do it.
Yes. Yeah, it's all a lot of it is that's trapped in your subconscious. Like you're not consciously aware of these things that control your everyday life, but it's there, and that's how you can reprogram that subconscious mind to really bring into the things in your life that you want is by telling yourself those positive affirmations and those mantras, like how we were just talking about. So please, guys, if there's anything that you could take from this whole podcast, like start that. It'll change your life. So for this next one, what are some tactics that you've used throughout your life to get you back on track with things? Like whenever you feel like you're kind of getting lost, or how'd you get yourself back on the track that you wanted to be?
Yeah, man. I mean, we've discussed a little bit about some of those techniques, obviously breath work and whatnot. Sometimes if I'm really wretched feeling and the breath isn't quite cutting it, I'll utilize certain tools I'll have, like I've got this medicine from the jungle. It's a tobacco snuff. It's a mix of organic 100% jungle grown tobacco, palo santo, sage, different herbs from the tribe. It takes them a few weeks to make each batch of this hop based snuff. And anyway, you blow it up each nostril, your left first, which is your divine feminine, and then your masculine, which is your right nostril. And when you do that, it immediately levels out any kind of imbalance in your divine feminine masculine energies. So if you're feeling off balance, it will correct that. And it's really incredible medicine. Like the first time in my life I had ever quieted that mind chatter, all the thoughts in my mind. Like I would try to sit in meditation for years and I just couldn't get to that point where it was silent ever.
All
And
right.
I was never at peace just sitting there. It just drove me nuts. And so I just gave up for years. And my first combo ceremony, frog medicine, they administer hape first. And when that was administered, dude, it made me cry. I was so blown away. It quieted the mind entirely. I was sitting in pure silence and darkness and stillness, just in peace in my within myself. And that bringing that to me for the first time in my life made me emotional, made me cry, and because I had never had that kind of peace ever in this life. And so that's a tool I use it every now and then when it calls. I always have it on hand. I've had there's different varieties from different tribes with different types of energies. There's a man tribe, a female tribe. So there's more of a man energy, and then there's more of a feminine energy one. So you can find this medicine all over the world, and different yogis will have it in your tribe and community if you just ask. Right. But that's been one of the biggest tools, has been hape for me, and that's helped me too get off of substances like cannabis when I went sober for a big period of my life, to just want some extra clarity. It wasn't something that I needed physically and as a medicine at that time, and so hape was helped me in my transition with my routine I built around the medicine. So that's been something that's been really powerful. And have you ever heard of hape before?
No, I haven't. How do you spell that? Is it
so HAPE with a hyphen, or it's spelled RAPE with a hyphen, but it's said the same way, hape.
Okay.
It's an H.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard of that, but I definitely want to look into it because that sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it's I didn't even explain what it really does either, other than the energy that it can even out, but it also decalcifies the pineal gland
okay.
at the same time. So it's a potent tool for that. So if somebody's looking for decalcification reasons with it, or to get off of tobacco entirely, because it's the grandfather tobacco, it's like one of the strongest ways to get off tobacco is with hape.
I like that. There's probably a lot of people that could benefit from that. So I know you touched on it evening out the energies as far as the defined masculine and feminine. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that aren't necessarily familiar with that terminology. Do you want to take a moment to kind of explain that?
Yeah, I mean, your right and left brain hemispheres work a little bit differently, and they're kind of attributed to like the yin yang, the polarity aspect in the energetic centers of the body. So like, when you hear someone refer to the divine feminine, it's the left side of the brain that controls certain emotions and things, like the passionate side, the fiery one. And so that's that side of the energy spectrum on that side of the brain. And then your right side is the masculine side, the protective side, the dominant side, the aggressive side, those sides of things. And so if one's overtaking the other, be it from an experience, a trauma, whatever that case is, it has to be leveled out at some point, or else you're just going to be kind of suffering in a sense. It's easy to find out kind of where you sit, I feel, with your energies, just by kind of like sitting in silence for a few minutes. You can kind of feel if your chest is in a knot, or if any of your energy centers, where those energy centers are in relativity to your chakras,
right,
and in alignment, what needs to be either released and worked on. So yeah, I mean, I get thrown off all the time, man, because as you level up as a human being, you can't expect life to become easier. The challenges and obstacles become more challenging and difficult too. Exactly. And that's because you have to continue to grow. And if life plateaus, where is your growth going to go?
Exactly. Yeah. I love that. I love that you touched on that as far as, leveling up. Because I feel like a lot of people, they go down this path of wanting to, heal themselves, whether it be spiritually or physically or mentally. And, they start to see some sort of positive results, and then, something will come along that will kind of knock them off that track, or something challenging will come along. And it's like, people start to question like why they're even, doing this healing to begin with. And it kind of deters them from that. And then they fall back into their comfort zone. But like how you said, like that's how life is. Life is all about continuously, growing and becoming the best version of yourself. And as you mentioned, like if there was no challenges, or if life just plateaued, like, you couldn't grow anymore. And that's what life's all about. So, guys, as you, become better and better versions of yourself, like don't get down on yourself, like don't be negative about the healing process just because more challenges or obstacles are coming your way. It just means life is throwing new stuff at you for you to handle and learn from. and grow from.
Yeah, you need it. We need it,
Exactly.
man. I
Need
was
that.
like, my friends used to call me like the angry one back in the day sometimes because I just didn't handle my stress well. I didn't have, didn't use the tools, didn't know of them yet at the time.
Yeah.
And like, it's like as simple as like, what I do now and a quick technique I use is like in the past when I would get upset, I used to, why is this happening to me? Now I turn it into, I'm so grateful for this to be happening to me right now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful, and even if it's horrible, I thank it. And by
Exactly.
sending gratitude to the hard, difficult situations, I tell you, it's the flip of the script, and that's one of my secrets.
Dude,
uh,
I have something very similar to that I do myself with this inner work that I've been doing lately. One of the epiphanies that I had was life doesn't happen to you; it happens for you. And it sounds so simple and cliche, but it's like when you really get that through through your mind, it, it really does change things for you because again, like it's all about growing and becoming a better version of yourself. Like nothing has happened to you to like, smite you down, like there might be some karma coming your way for something you did in the past, but like it's all happening for a purpose to better yourself. Like
yeah,
there's no one out there to get you, you know. I know a lot of us like to think that, but that's not the case.
we're out there to get ourselves or not get ourselves. We have to take
Yeah.
creators in our own reality tunnels and what we manifest into our lives. We're giant, intelligent, sentient magnets that
Mm-hmm.
attract what we put out with our mental thoughts, vibration. So it's
Yes.
like, being respectful of my own energy all the time in all aspects of my life is as challenging as that is the mission. And
Exactly.
the better I get at that game, the better my life's been getting. So I'm not saying or claiming that I'm perfect at this and that I'm like this massive millionaire, but I'm a happy person and human being. I'm humble. My needs are being met. I don't fear surviving. I trust and I'm confident and I'm happy because of my mindset. And it's not, there's moments that I have where it's not always like that, but I'm sure to pull myself out of the funk quickly, and I don't allow myself to stay in it for too long.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And this is kind of making full circle, you guys, as far as how he was saying, like we all are manifestors of our own lives, and we were talking about earlier to practice, manifestation and positive affirmations and having a positive mantra. Well, whether you are doing that or you aren't, like you're still a manifester today. You're a manifester since you've been born and since the day you go and whatever life you go on to. So whatever you like it or not, like you're doing it. And whether it's positive or negative, it's up to you. So if you're telling yourself every day, like, I'm dumb, or why did I do that? Or like, I always mess this up, or this is going to be terrible, like you're manifesting right there. It just happens to be a negative form of it. So that's why we're saying, like, start practicing the positive stuff and practice the art of gratitude, like you mentioned as well. That's also something that I've taken up probably in the past year now. And that has made a huge difference in my life too. Like there's so much to be grateful for, but it's so easy to like, point the finger and blame it on other things. But like when you take responsibility for your own actions and you appreciate the things that, happen to you, like it really, it's life changing. It really is. There's no other way, to put it.
Man, well said. Yeah, like when I do my morning routine, one of the last things I do before like my last mantra to close up is I do my 10-minute gratitude prayer. It's roughly 10 minutes, usually
Mm-hmm.
between 5.
Yeah.
And I do that long because that's about how long it takes to get through it. And what I mean by that is I literally go through and I say I'm grateful for like my mother, and I'm grateful for, and I'll be specific a lot of times too. Sometimes I won't be, but I'll go through and I'll just repeat what I'm grateful for. Grateful to wake up today. Grateful for each breath that I take and the power of creation that comes from each breath. Like reiterate everything that you have that others in this world don't, because that right there is going to increase your vibration and allow for more to come in. And every time I do the gratitude prayer, man, I feel my vibe notching up. the longer I do it. So I just challenge anybody that's watching this, if you can commit yourself to 10 days of 10 minutes of gratitude prayer in your morning ritual, just to start your day, to see how you feel and the shifts that come from that alone, I would be shocked to get one person that doesn't have positivity come from that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, even if, so I do something similar to that as well. I just started, I wrote my own like little mantra, but it's only 10 things, you know? So even if some of you feel intimidated by 10 minutes, like you can't come up with 10 minutes worth of stuff, like even if it's just 10 things, like
Yeah.
at the end of the day or at the beginning of your day, like start your day with that positive mantra saying just, even if it's just three things, you know, that you're grateful for, and then gradually increase your list. Um, it really does like raise your vibrations, and then therefore like everything else that you want to attract into your life is more likely to come into your life. You know, obviously you have to still put in hard work and, you know, do things, like you can't just think it in your head, but like when you're assisting yourself, when you're raising your vibrations, you know, life, you'll realize that life is really out here to work with you and not against you.
Well said. Yes, I concur. Couldn't agree more. It's not always easy finding the truth in that. You know, a lot of us have to go through the crap to get there, but
Yeah,
good, man, we can share that with each other and we can help each other grow, and so we can pass it on to our children, because it's our children that we really have to pass down that truth to. It's because
absolutely.
the system, which you can agree, I'm sure, is just not, I feel, fit to be, you know, and not teaching things that are of that value. And we need that if we want, you know, a Mother Gaia that is not, you know, that's just worth sticking around on and being proud of and whatnot. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I agree 100%. And you know, it's funny you mentioned that, you know, passing it on to your kids. I mean, obviously we should, you know, absolutely do that. But there's so many times where, you know, I'll look at my kid and I'll be like, man, you're so lucky that all the shit that I've been through, because I'm going to teach you so many things that you can use to to deal with this, so you don't spiral out of control like how I did. So it really is a beautiful thing, you know, and this is why we create these type of communities too. You know, you don't have to, uh, you know, be our kid for us to pass on these things to you guys. You know, we're all in this together. You know, as a collective, as we raise each other's vibrations, it only makes our everyone else's lives easier. You know, we're not here to fight each other or be against each other or cause these separations for whatever, uh, you know, human ideals certain people like to push. But you know, we're all, you know, it's all about healing yourself and coming together as one. And you know, I feel like we're getting there. You know, as time's gone on, you know, well, there's always going to be some obstacles we have to overcome, but you know, this is one step closer to where we need to be.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, you know, it's beautiful to see so many coming into their own, seeing that truth, you know?
Absolutely, man. It really is a beautiful thing. Like it kind of like makes you just have like that warm feeling inside when you see another person like start their spiritual journey or up level themselves to another, you know, aspect of their life. It's awesome, man. It really is.
I think of that funny meme that's been going around with Leo DiCaprio, like the spiritual meme. He's
Yeah.
in his eye, spiritual awakening. And it's, you know, yeah, and you see somebody, whether it's a friend or a relative or just some random person, that you see them on their spiritual journey and their awakening, and maybe it's uh, where you were a few years ago or a period of time ago, and it just makes you smile and brings happiness to you, because you know it's it's happening, you know. And it's
Exactly.
like, for a long time before I was involved, or I just would say involving myself in these types of platforms and actually participating, I was hiding, you know, and fearful. So now it's totally different. We can switch things in a way and be there for each other to really never have to feel alone, and it should never be that way in the first place. But we are here for each other, and so I'm grateful for you and for this opportunity, and we're looking forward to what the future holds with it all.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I couldn't agree with you more on that, brother. As far as yeah, before I started my spiritual journey too, like I was always someone that was just kind of like a wallflower. Didn't really, say too much to anybody. I just kind of, did what I was supposed to do, and then, move on from there. But like, yeah, as you start to open yourself up and go down that healing process, that healing journey, like, man, life is, yeah, I just wish I could tell my younger self like how much, all the shit that you're going through right now, like you'll be grateful for it someday. Because looking back on it now, it's like, man, I was so hard on myself and I shouldn't have been. But it's okay because now I'm in a better place now, and I can help other people feel that way about themselves too.
Yeah, you're not living in regret because you wouldn't be who you are if you did. You would
Exactly.
be you'd be stuck living in the past, and that's not being present in the now and the future. And so it's beautiful, that you're able to stay present. You've reflected on things like we're always going to be evolving as a human being, but it's the beauty in seeing that beauty in that journey and whatnot that makes it all so wonderful, man. So it's awesome that you're a dad too. You're going through it. It's that's been one of the biggest turning points and catalysts in my awakening, I guess I would say, was becoming a father. So.
Yeah, I agree. It just changes your perspective on everything, and it helps you like redefine what if you've had a relationship in your past that was kind of traumatic, or was a bad experience. It helps you redefine what a good healthy relationship would look like, having children. And I'm not saying like go out and just get somebody pregnant so you can do that, but yeah, it really is a beautiful thing. It really is. So for our last question, because we're coming up on an hour now, is if there was advice that you'd like to give someone out there right now struggling with something that maybe seems impossible to them, or like they can't overcome, what would that be? And you can take your time with this one if you want to.
I would just say it's a tough one, man, because sometimes I'm at that same exact point in my life at times,
Yeah.
and when I find myself at that point, I say to myself, go back to the basics. What do you know works? And if you don't know what works, like say you haven't reached that point yet,
Mm-hmm.
and say you do have a social media platform and you're following people that inspire you, follow that inspiration that makes you happy. And
I like that.
so it's like, how do I explain this? Like there was times in the past where I was like following accounts that resonated with me, and for my own fear of failure, whatever I had going on there that prevented me from just pulling the trigger and committing to something that I knew would make me happy, I didn't. And so my advice would be, drop the fear.
Yeah.
Put yourself out of your comfort zone and try something new that will help you. And a lot of people know what will help them. They just don't want to commit to it.
Yes. Yes.
So that's it, man. Just be strong, be brave. Be brave.
Exactly. And that's the only way you guys are gonna up level and become the best version of yourself, is by getting out of that comfort zone. And it doesn't have to be like anything crazy. Like you don't have to like get on a motorcycle and like go jump over 3 cars. Like, even if it's just like, at work or at the coffee shop, just going up to someone and saying hi and introducing yourself, like it doesn't have to be something crazy. It's just something that pushes you to be a better version of yourself. And like you said, a lot of us know what it takes to be a better version of ourselves, but we're too scared to take that step. Like, man, just bet on yourself. Take that leap of faith, And once you do, like so many things that you struggle with now, you'll look back on and be like, why did I stress about that so much? Like it wasn't even that big of a deal. And then in turn, it's going to open up so many other doors in your life of being like, you know what, I can take this on. This is something that I never saw myself even doing, or didn't think I had any, I didn't have any reason to be here in this place where I am. But now that I am here, like I can do this, and it's a beautiful thing. So yes, like Brandon said, like be brave, guys. Be strong. Step outside your comfort zone. It's a beautiful thing. That's where the magic and the healing happens. You got to push yourself. It's not.
Dude, I get every time I get do before I do something new. Still, so
Yeah, exactly. you know. And even if you fail, guys, like that's not a bad thing. It's not telling you to like stop doing whatever it is that you failed at. Like it's just part of the learning process. Like part of winning is trying new things and failing, and then you know, realizing what you did wrong, you know, realizing, is this still for me? If it is, then like continue to go forward. If it's not, like that's new knowledge and new perspective that you have to put your energy towards something that is for you. So it's always a learning experience at the end of the day. There's always a silver lining in everything. And if there's one thing that I could challenge you guys to do is in any situation, you know, find the silver lining in it. You know, whether it's all these bad things that happen to you, like there's something good that's in this too. Like it happened to you for a reason. Like don't take the easy way out and saying like it's someone else's fault. Like take responsibility for your actions. Mm-hmm. And like Brandon said, be brave. Be strong.
It's so hard sometimes.
It is.
We fear to communicate and we fear connection.
Yeah.
That's like, gosh, we shouldn't fear to talk to each other. And that's
no,
like,
we shouldn't.
So,
yeah.
You know.
And this is, I mean, even, you know, obviously starting this podcast was always something that I wanted to do, but you know, like this was stepping out of my comfort zone for me, guys, you know, talking to people on the internet. Like, yeah, it can be perceived as scary, but like there's a lot of good people out there and there's a lot of learning and healing out there too. So, you know, so yeah, that pretty much wraps up my questions, and it looks like we're over an hour now. Is there anything that you'd like to close out with, these beautiful people?
Not really. Just thank you for watching, and I hope that you gained something from Brady and I going over, you know, and sharing a bit of our lives and a bit of ourselves with everybody. And I look forward to what the future holds for all of you.
Absolutely. Yes, I couldn't said it better myself. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on here, Brandon, and speak with you and, you know, share this experience together. And, you know, as the show progresses, you know, we'd love to have you back on. So,
love to be here. Thank you, brother. Well, have a good rest of your day, and I guess we'll catch you next time.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. As usual, stay positive, stay beautiful, stay strong. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Later.
Thank you so much for your continued support. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, consider checking us out on Instagram. And we're also available on Spotify, Apple Music, and Google Podcasts. Again, thank you so much. And as usual, stay beautiful, stay safe, and stay sparky. Until next time, peace.